And I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for listening to our previous episodes.
Yeah.
Very, very excited about doing the podcast. Really enjoying it so far. How are you finding it?
It's been a lot of fun. So we're getting through them quite easily. We're banging them out. We're doing like 2 back-to-back, which is nice. It gives us a bit of a break between weeks to focus on doing videos and eBay and everything else. But yeah, the feedback from the community and all our followers and stuff has been really, really encouraging and supportive. Couldn't thank you guys enough. A lot of them are watching on the YouTube, on the video version, and subscribing on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff. And yeah, it's encouraging. I'm excited to do a lot more episodes. Hopefully we can get to the point where we can do 1 a week. That would be the sort of goal.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. Eventually, just to be able to bring everybody just some weekly content and just be able to go through what we do on a weekly basis pretty much.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're only able to do like 1 every 2 weeks, but hopefully soon we'll be able to bring you a little bit more.
Yeah, 1 a fortnight's manageable now, but we're sort of doing them in advance and banking them just so we can get ourselves some free time to focus on the business. So ideally, if we can get down to 1 a week and make it a bit more topical and relevant, somehow incorporate like news,
Real-time events
in. That'll be sort of interesting, but that's sort of the end goal. But yeah, we're just banking 1 every 2 weeks at the moment. So yeah, we're enjoying it. You guys are enjoying them, obviously. But yeah, just wanted to say a quick thank you before we get into today's episode.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really, really appreciate it. Having a lot of fun. Should we get into it then?
I think we should get into it. So
Yeah.
today's overall topic is going to be based around sort of just money and budgeting, I guess. It's something we're always thinking about and working on. We talk about it a lot.
We do.
But we're just going to, I guess, talk about ways that we budget, how we manage our finances together as a couple and everything like that, how we save money, try to save money, and then talk about some things that we do like to splurge on every now and then, I guess, because saving can be fun, but, you know, why you're working so hard for if you can't enjoy the money you're making. So
Yeah.
we'll touch on all those sort of topics.
Yeah, that's a huge part. Like the whole reason why we do budget is so it frees up us to be able to do the things that we want to do, but also being able to plan for it and be smart for it as well, just so we know that the money's not really going to waste. It's actually getting used to its full potential.
Yeah. And in our previous episode, we touched on this stuff a little bit, and we did a review of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was more of an overall mindset towards your finances and how to make more money over the long term and, you know, retire comfortably and all that sort of stuff. But today's going to be more about just the weekly ins and outs of how we save money and all that good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Probably the most important part if you are budgeting as a couple is to really be open to each other about the finances. I think that's a huge part. You got to really be like just not have that fear of like worrying about what your partner might think about, just say if you have any debt, how much income you do have coming in.
Yep.
But as long as you're open about it and talk about it, we pretty much have like a financial review every week. Pretty much when we get paid is when we sort of like track our money.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky. We get paid weekly, so it helps us track it a little bit easier.
Yep.
But we're very, very open. Like we share pretty much all that kind of stuff just so we can be on top of it. You know, it helps each other work together to a common goal.
Yeah, so I guess we can rewind to, I guess, the first sort of instance or first time that we started discussing finance, really. It wasn't that long into our relationship, maybe 6 months or so.
I would say so.
And we pretty much were quite open. We worked in the same workplace, so it was quite easy to discuss. We sort of knew each other's income and stuff like that. But in terms of managing our money, pretty much off the bat, we opened up a couple of joint bank accounts, right?
We did. One of my friends, like she's a little bit big on finance as well. And one of the advice that she gets, if you do happen to get in a relationship and you're comfortable within that relationship and feel okay talking about financing, open up a joint account as soon as you can. That way, you know, you're starting off early, you're sharing your finances early, and you'll be able to reach your goal a lot quicker, which is what we're finding, like together having those two incomes where it's a lot easier than the separate. I was a terrible, terrible saver by myself.
Yeah, some people, I mean, I was definitely this way growing up and when I was in previous relationships and stuff like that, your money is your money. You can spend it how you want. But obviously, being a couple and having goals, whether it be having kids, buying a property, all that sort of stuff, if you openly discuss money, obviously it becomes less taboo over time. And it sort of makes the relationship overall accountable, or not the relationship overall, but we're sort of accountable for each other because all the money's going in together. We sort of get approval from one another if we need to buy certain things.
Yeah, huge price dollar items as well. Like we do have a certain level of trust. Most of the time we do say yes to each other, but it's just being able to have that ability to be able to, hey, can we spend, $1,000 on this? Can we spend $500 on this? And we can talk through it and weigh up the benefits and everything. Yeah, I think it's a very, very helpful for us for sure.
It's pretty rare that we do something like that. We are quite frugal, quite minimalist. We might upgrade some tech or something once in a while. But yeah, having the joint bank account, I know it was pretty scary at first because there was about 3 different bank accounts we opened up based on some advice that we read from some books that we'll touch on later. But yeah, we had like a general everyday spending account with your ins and outs for your groceries, petrol,
utility bills, all that kind of stuff. Then we had a savings account. So that was purely no touchy touch.
Yep.
Put money in there, let it sit. No touchy touch. Yeah, can't touch it. Don't draw any out. But that's your savings account. That's what you're, working towards, whether it's a holiday, big purchase, all that kind of stuff. And then there was like a splurge account. So that was the coffees, treats, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just leisure type stuff. If you want to go to the movies or that sort of stuff, it was a smaller contribution to that account.
Yeah.
And a larger contribution to the bigger savings account.
This was quite a while ago. We have sort of rechanged our savings budgeting metrics to sort of suit our needs now, but it was a really, really great intro to being on top of the money, being educated by our money, and just fully tracking. Tracking is a huge thing.
Yeah. And that was pretty much the first major conversation I had with anyone in regards to money and saving and managing accounts. Previously to that, just other jobs I had was just week by week, money in, money out, based on doing all the essential sort of stuff and never thinking of an end goal or a money plan or anything like that. So it was quite daunting opening a joint bank account with you.
Yeah. But we did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to where we are now. We paid off a bunch of debt last year. Obviously, we're running a nice little small business on the side and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's sort of one of our first intros, I guess, into budgeting.
For sure.
What else should we mention? Like, obviously, if you're a couple, we're not saying you should do a joint bank account. We've had a great experience with it.
It's worked for us.
Yeah. Obviously, there's pros and cons to every way of managing your money. But other than that, we do a lot of other stuff to track our weekly spending and stuff. So
for sure.
I set up a spreadsheet quite early on to help us divvy up the money into all those accounts. And that pretty much accounts for anything that we spend money on.
100%.
So again, it covers groceries, phone bills,
like water bill, gas bill, it tracks all our food. Archie's in the spreadsheet as well. So whether you have pets or dogs, things like pets or dogs, whether you have pets or kids, it's a huge thing to make sure you put them into the budget. Whether it's, you're going to get a mechanic every 6 months, you put that in. Just things that you feel like that you're going to be paying throughout the year, and then put that within the spreadsheet. So whether it's like $4 a week, it all adds up towards the end. But pretty much the biggest thing within that spreadsheet, track every single in and out with your money, every single in and out.
It seems very meticulous, but if you can sort of track where every dollar is going, you're going to have more money for yourself left over at the end of the week, whether you want to spend that or invest that. It's up to you. But each dollar that you keep an eye on and know where it's going is probably another dollar somewhere else that you can potentially save.
Yeah, it's taking control of your finances.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so spreadsheet, great. Google Sheets, obviously free. Jump on. Everyone's got a Gmail account. Get on there, set it up. It's quite simple. There's probably millions of templates you can download.
Definitely.
To get started. And it's just working out how much your weekly income is and then spreading it across all the essentials. One of the major things that we focus on is food and budgeting.
Yes. We love our food, but yeah, food is a huge thing for us. So food and coffee, we realized a lot of our money was going towards buying lunches at work, buying coffee every single.
Probably spending more money on coffee than food.
Yeah, I'd say so.
A lot of the days at work, actually.
Yeah, so all that. But yeah, food was a huge one. So we, figured out how much we do need to spend each week on food and make sure we sort of stick towards that food budget, but also, utilizing what's on sale, that kind of thing. That's a huge one for us as well.
And the food thing goes up and down all the time. We've tried different variations of it. We used to, for example, put $100 in a week to the food budget, and then we realized
that's not enough.
Actually, we spend less now, don't we?
Oh, it's $75 each a week.
Yeah. It's gone down. So we sort of just reevaluate what kind of stuff we're spending our money on. Like you said, coffee was a huge one. I could have spent easily $10 a day on coffee at work.
Oh, so easy to spend $10 a day.
So for coffee alone, we bought a coffee machine probably 3 years ago.
We did, yeah. It was a nice little Breville one.
And that was a nice way to kickstart saving money on that from that standpoint.
Yeah. Well, it was that was the whole point of tracking. We saw how much we were spending on coffee each week. We were like, well, damn, how can we cut this? Then we invested in a coffee machine, which cut down our costs, which is awesome. We've recently downgraded to a percolator, which I really love.
Yeah, so we had an espresso machine, like a nice Breville one, but yeah, it just didn't last that long, realistically. So then we got rid of that and we bought a percolator. So it's sort of a downgrade.
Yeah.
I like the flavor more. It's a bit of a stronger taste, but essentially a percolator is just a little...
It's like a camping one, so you just put it on a stovetop, but because you can sort of leave it and sit, I can actually do other stuff at the same time in the morning, which is super handy. But with the coffee machine, you have to, manually put the beans in, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more hands-on, but this one you can sort of leave and set and walk away and do the dishes, feed Archie, that kind of thing.
And it's way more sustainable, I'd say. It's made out of, obviously, stainless steel or metal. You can put it on the stovetop. You can take it camping with you, whereas the espresso machine... quite limiting where you can use that thing. So we like the percolator, and it's saving us money because we're not spending all that extra money on coffee.
No, definitely. And with the percolator, I'm finding that the ground coffee beans we have is lasting a lot longer because it makes the coffee stronger as well. Yes, that was an unintentional side benefit of saving a little bit extra money on coffee this year. But yeah, we're always thinking ways on how we can change it up, save. So even though we did start our tracking system 2-3 years ago, we're still
refining it.
Exactly. Still finding out what's working for us, because our pay goes up and down every week. It's not the same. So we just need to make sure that we balance it out, which is a huge thing.
Yeah. So we saved a lot of money by not buying coffees at work because we bought the machine, and then we have the percolator. Also the cost of the coffee beans as well.
Yes.
So we was buying pretty good quality beans from standard Woolworths or Coles.
Yeah.
Obviously not the best compared to what you can probably source elsewhere, but we're probably paying, what are those kilo bags, about $25?
Yeah, $25, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. And it was great, but then we were like, let's see if we can handle the real cheap stuff. And I think we pay about $12 per kilo for some sort of basic, almost home brand beans.
I'd say so.
But like you said, because the percolator is feel like it gives you that extra strong hit, it sort of makes up for the
downgrade in the beans.
Yeah.
But I think we're used to it now. We've got the same beans for a year, so it's not too bad. I'm fine with it. It wakes me up in the morning. That's all I need, is to be woken up in the morning.
Yeah, well, if you break down the math, it's actually crazy. A $12 per kilo will last us 2 weeks?
About 2 and a bit weeks.
And then we'll probably go through whatever, $20 of milk or something like that, $30 of milk, whereas a double shot in the morning is about $5.
Yeah, we're fancy. We like our double shot soys.
We don't like them. We need them.
Oh, we need them. Sorry, we need our double shot soys. So they get quite expensive. So $5, sometimes $5.50. So we only buy those when we're either extra tired or feel like we have a little splurge, or we can be like, hey, business expense today.
Yeah, business. I don't know if we can technically write coffees off as a business expense, but we'll try.
We'll try.
Yeah,
we'll do it one day.
So we budget everything, or we manage everything in our spreadsheet, our income, all the outgoings and stuff. And then basically after your everything, all the deductions are sort of taken away from your income, you're left with
I
leftovers.
guess the leftovers. So whether that's something that you want to reinvest into stocks, whether you're using it to pay off some debt so you can snowball that off, or if you're saving for a holiday or something like that. And that's why we did the original spreadsheet, is because we wanted to go somewhere lovely as a couple.
Yeah. So there's a reason for budgeting. We're not just doing it to be frugal. Obviously, we want to be frugal, but it's all about saving money to then facilitate other things, whether it's investing for the long term, paying for holidays, paying for kids' soccer practice. I don't know. What do people pay for these days?
Yeah.
You're locked down. You can't really do much.
I know. Yeah. Tattoos, makeover, who knows? Anything that you want.
Save up for a tattoo? Well, okay.
Whatever you want. That's the whole point of it, is just to be able to give you that freedom to make those choices, to be able to buy the things that you want to buy. Yeah, because if you're just living week by week, and I've done that before in the past, it's not easy, because come the day before payday, you got, I guess it's migraine for dinner.
No, it's when I was at uni, like I was only doing maybe 12 to 15 hours of a week at work, and the rest was all Centrelink youth allowance and all that sort of stuff. And I knew I'd get paid on, technically get paid on Wednesday day, but you get paid early, and some banks on late Tuesday night. And Tuesday night, I'm sitting there waiting to get paid every night just so I can go and buy dinner. It was a struggle every week. And then you've spent $30 of your weekly pay before you actually technically have been paid on the Wednesday. So yeah, it's a week by week thing. It's hard to live like that for sure.
Yeah, and it's not funny, but you think about as soon as you get out of high school, a lot of kids, I moved out of home straight away pretty much from high school, and I had no idea how to save money. I had no idea how to budget for rent, all that kind of thing. And to think, it's been about 15 years now or something since then, and the fact that was my mindset then and this is my mindset now, it's been such a journey, but it's pretty exciting. Well, I'm just super happy that we actually have the funds to back up the things that we want to do. I never thought that I'd be in this position, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it's only taken three years really to really knuckle down, and we could have done a lot better over that time.
For sure.
We definitely had some lapses and some spending that wasn't particularly necessary, but it happens. We learn.
And we can be lazy from time to time. We are human beings, but as long as we pick up when we are being lazy and sort of make up for it in the future, it's okay to, miss a week here and there, or, there's always some unexpected expense that you might have, but as long as you sort of don't let that affect your overall future mindset or future goals, it's okay to have those dips here and there.
You gotta try not let it get to you and derail your progress. I guess that's sort of the key. What else do we budget? Obviously food. Clothing's a big one now, that we try not to buy new stuff now that we sort of thrift part-time on most of our days off. So we can generally source things on the cheap. So that's another aspect of budgeting. We're not spending $100 on a pair of jeans or $50 on a t-shirt.
No, we're not very big brandy sort of people anyway. And I've always enjoyed getting my clothes secondhand, but it's just another added savings that we can have, because just say if you're, going to a wedding and need some pants, then go to Vinnie's or Salvo's and, pick up some pants for $8. It saves you a whole much rather than going to, Myer and getting some pants for $60, $70. Yeah, all that little bit adds up. We budget in the car, I think is what we mentioned. So we actually put about $30 a week in total to put towards the car. That way every 6 months we'll have enough. And the way that we sort of did that was we sort of estimated off our last couple of mechanic visits and sort of averaged it out and sort of broke it down and worked back that way. Same as Archie, because he has regular vet visits because he gets allergies and things like that. So we, averaged out the last couple of vet visits and divided that, and we put about, I think, $50 a week aside for him. He's an expensive boy.
But it's also gives you a bit of leeway and contingency if something does happen. You might not require that $50 every week, but if you only need 30, then you've got a bit of extra money sitting there in case some shit does go down. So
yeah, and I think we've done that before. So Archie had a little bit extra left over, so we ended up getting him a bed and all that kind of stuff. So we that's something that we're always reviewing. We're never not looking at our money, if that makes sense.
Yep. All right. That's pretty much all there is to talk about in terms of our budgeting story and stuff. I think we'll jump into our review for this week, which is
Barefoot Investor.
Barefoot Investor. So it's very on topic with today's budgeting discussion.
It was probably one of the first books I really read about budgeting, and it's a very, very widely popular book anyway. And that's sort of where we got our idea of opening up several joint accounts, so for savings, spendings, all that kind of stuff. It sort of gives you a bit of a, I guess, knowledge on how to, like, if you do have that end goal, it helps you work backwards and how to get there, which I thought was pretty exciting to sort of learn first off. I think the biggest one, and we'll probably get it into later episodes, but the main reason why we started reading Barefoot Investor was because we wanted to travel overseas.
Yeah, so Barefoot Investor is very Australian centric. So if you're an Australian listener and you haven't read it and you're interested in taking control of your finance, looking after your money, looking after your future self, definitely pick up Barefoot Investor. There's a bunch of versions. There's like family versions, and I think there's some for kids if you want to like get your kids interested in finance and money. Yeah,
it was simple, easy, great language. Yeah, really, really good to prep you for it.
Yeah, but the best thing was it's very practical. So not only is it based around Australian banks and what cards have the best interest rate and stuff like that.
Yeah, super, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all very practical. So it would say, based on the time of this printing, this is the best option for if you want this interest rate, or it gives you a step-by-step sort of work through. So yeah, we both read it and then pretty much immediately followed the steps to get started, which was us doing our joint bank account, or several of them. So like we said, one was our everyday spending. One was what they call a smile account. So that's your long-term saving goals, whether it be
makes
car.
You smile.
Yeah, it makes you smile. Every time you put money in, you're supposed to, I guess, smile and know you're doing the right thing and working towards your goal, whether it be a holiday, a car, or
anything.
Yep.
And then you had the splurge ones. That was the nice little extra expenses that you wanted to pay for. So yeah, like coffee, but we ended up culling that one back, which is good.
Yeah. So, and in addition to that, the main other focus of the book is working towards your emergency goal, or doing emergency fund if you haven't established that yet. So I think they recommend just building $1,000 up first. Is that right?
It was, yeah. So having that $1,000 emergency. So for those unexpected things that you have to pay for. So whether it's, like the mechanic and all that kind of stuff, just those, maybe the dentist, who knows?
Yep. So work up an emergency fund, and then essentially just attack all your debt, right?
Yeah. So it pretty much the biggest difference between that and some of the other books that we had was Barefoot Investor was like tackle everything at the same time. So do your savings, do your debt, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing from that one was just the breakdown of your funds going in and out. Was a huge one. Yeah. So they said put some towards your debt, put some towards your savings, and just keep pumping through and keep working through it and just doing it every single week or every single month, just depending on how you get paid. Yeah, where we've read some other books, whereas, focus on your debt first, then your savings, or focus on your emergency fund first, then your debt, then your savings. There's so many different resources out there, but the Barefoot Investor we found was a great intro to how to save as a couple, and how to budget as a couple as well. And another good thing that you mentioned before, especially with when books are printed, information might change and all that kind of stuff. So we always sign up to those mailing lists that attach to the book. That way they give you up-to-date info relative to the book, if there's any changes, that kind of thing. I find those super helpful. Yeah, because they'll have the mailing lists and the communities just to keep you updated on new important info, whether it's interest rates or anything like that.
Yeah, and we should mention that we read it quite a while ago, so
a very long time ago.
I'm sure there's updates to what cards and what banks have the best bang for your buck. So if you're interested, definitely check out the latest version. I think we should probably do a reread of it because there are multiple steps in the book, and we're pretty low on the ladder in terms of getting working through all of our financial goals. So initially, like you said, we want to pay off our debt, build up a nice, comfortable emergency fund in case you lose your job or need some sort of medical treatment or something like that. Hopefully not, but yeah, it's about paying off your debt, building up your emergency fund, having all your finances sorted weekly in and out of accounts, and then once those things are accomplished, then you work towards future-proofing your wealth. So whether that be contributing more to your super, or investing, or paying off more of your mortgage, all that sort of stuff is later on in the book. And we read all the book, but there's only a certain point that's applicable to you.
Yeah.
So that whole back end of the book, we're not really well versed in.
Well, at the time that we were reading it, that wasn't sort of what we were interested in. We were interested in the budgeting part and then the saving for the holiday that we're after. So we did read the whole thing, but the takeaway that we got was just the info that we needed. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. It's just about grabbing the information that resonates to you and finding out what works for you. That's why there's just so much information out there to begin with. So you can pick and choose what works, because we still use stuff from the Barefoot Investor. We use stuff from new financial books that we read. So the more knowledge we have, the better it is.
Yeah, and it got us from point A to B where we are now. And yeah, we should reassess it, read some more books, and then figure out what our next move is, because we've got a nice, healthy emergency fund now.
We do.
Based on putting all these practices in place and implementing a weekly, weekly process, I guess.
Yeah.
Towards putting the money into all our accounts and getting everything sorted. So yeah, we're super happy. Well, I'm super happy with the way we've tracked. If we didn't read that book and get some advice from your friend initially about potentially starting a joint bank account, then we might not have any savings. We might still have our debt.
We might not actually be in this location that we're in now. We might not have these microphones. Like, there's just so many factors that book actually kicked off for us, which is pretty amazing when we look back at it.
Super happy we read it.
Yeah, so good.
And the fun thing was we shared it all together. We weren't scared to discuss hurdles and what we were potentially scared by. Like, we were quite open and honest with our communication regarding the finance and what our goals and stuff were, and it's paid off for sure. Yeah,
the honesty is a huge thing, because we'd talk through, and we actually opened up like our own bank accounts, and we went through like our transaction history and had a look and like, what are we both spending money on? And it's a bit scary, be like, why did you spend so much money on food or coffee or whatever? And then once we sort of were so open about it, it kept ourselves accountable, that kind of thing. And now we have no problem. Like, I think, the passwords to all my internet banking and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not fussed, because I know we have that level of trust. We've been open about our finances for the past 3 years. It's been good, very, very comfortable. And yeah, very, very proud that we're able to do something like that.
All right.
Nice.
Well, that's our chat about budgeting and money, and I guess how you can manage your money as a couple. That's sort of the main takeaway. Obviously, you can apply this if you're a single person, if you really want to knuckle down and get yourself sorted out. But I think it's more applicable to couples, potentially new couples that are at that sticking point where they don't know whether to discuss their money or discuss their goals going forward. But I think it's one of those things that should be discussed.
I think so.
Money is one of those taboo topics that people don't like discussing, their income and what they spend their money on, but it's just money. Yeah,
exactly. Earlier the better, and especially if you have something like debt, the earlier you talk about it, the earlier you can sort of tackle it together. And if you have two people on a problem, it's going to get sorted a lot quicker and a lot easier with having that support.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to episode number 3 of the Look Mum I'm Hustling podcast. If you haven't yet, go over and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Music and Spotify. Don't forget to drop us a 5-star rating and review to help us rank a bit more in the algorithm and the feed and get our podcast into some more ears.
Yeah, reviews are a big help. And also we do have the video version up on YouTube under It's Drew and Sarah as well, if you wanted to check out. No falling backgrounds this time, I'm sorry. But yeah, if you wanted to see our beautiful backgrounds and see maybe our lovely faces.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, keep making